Yeah, I could see lots of spraying activity yesterday and today. I mean, the day started out with very thick coverage right away, and it's the very messy kind. Now, in the past, I've referred to cobweb, but I meant cobweb trails. So if you see this really long trail here, and that one's starting to spread out, but that guy, oh, look. Right, see all the way there, it makes an X with another one, but goes all the way down. So if I zoom in on it, right, that, when I say a cobweb, I'm meaning it's a long cobweb trail. But I guess you could also say there's cobweb clouds or a cobwebbish cloud formation. Because sometimes when people hear cobweb, like in my mind, a cobweb, I think of, I guess I think like Spider-Man's web shooters. Maybe I should, instead of saying cobweb, maybe I should say Spider-Man's web shooters. Like when he shoots the thick, distinct, long trail. So that's what I'll do. I'll start saying that's Spider-Man's web shooters going forward. Because you could call this like a cobweb or whatever. But I almost more call that, like that's just, that's the cirrus stuff. I mean, the cirrus is just anything that's kind of smeared and smudged like that. It can take a few forms, but having that really wispiness, it can be longer or shorter. Here you can see it's really long. See how it just goes. Look at that guy. Goes. So you could say that's like a cobweb cloud, but I guess in the past when I've said cobwebs, I meant cobweb trails, which I'll now say like Spider-Man's web shooters. Right, so there's one of Spider-Man's web shooters, right in there, and it goes to that, right, it just keeps going all the way back. And you can see more of these cobweb trails or the Spider-Man web shooter trails, depending on how you want to call it. See, like this guy here, that's one of them, but now it's just unraveling. It just starts, like it'll be like that guy, it comes out, more compact and together. I mean, that's high up there, so that's still a huge trail. But you can see in that part of that Spider-Man cobweb shot, see how that's starting to unravel, right, and spread out. It will eventually go and look like this guy. Right, so that used to be more compact, and now it's unraveling. Now, other trails that they can do are what I just call trailers, where it's following the cloud, it's following the spray plane for, I don't know, on the ground it only looks like, a centimeter or an inch, but high up there, that's going to be, 100, maybe not 100 feet, but 30, 40, 50, 60 feet. Like I said, it's probably going to be something like that, right? Because it's, or I guess however long the plane is, the trail is like 2 to 3 times the length of the trail. But it dissipates shortly after behind it. Like the trail only lasts for that little bit. So I call them trailers because it's only behind it and it dissipates fairly quickly. But sometimes they do these cobweb ones or the Spider-Man web shooter ones. Let's see, there's another cobweb / Spider-Man web shooter, and then off in that distance, look, there's, you can see 2 of the web shooter styles. And maybe even more, but now they start dissipating. I think that trail there, that was the one I was filming before, right? But that's one of the Spider-Man web shooter ones. And then if you look all in that distance, you can get a better view of one of those cobwebs or Spider-Man web shooters. See? You can see horizontally, right? That was that longer guy across the top going to there. And then there's those ones there. And then you have the congested stuff. So that cloud seeding, so over time, all those the particulates in the aluminum and others they're spraying will collect moisture and etc. and it'll seed clouds. So cloud seeding. Right, it tracks all this stuff and it makes these clouds. So geoengineering, weather modification, SRM, solar radiation management, right? Because they're blocking the sun. All the different terms for it. Aerosol spraying. If you say chemtrails, oh no, that's a conspiracy theory. No. But if you say those other terms, oh yeah. But then I don't get it because they say, oh no, there's no chemtrails. And they say, oh, these other programs, oh, those are real programs. But then it's like, okay, are they happening? And then it's like, is the official story they're not happening? I think that is the official story. And yet clearly, as I have filmed, where I live, it only takes one to see. And I was like, hey, that's not right. I've never seen that before. That's not how, even a condensation trail, they say it's contrails. Well, no, because the jets now are so efficient, that you have to get the very specific circumstances, and it has to be very cold. Like they have to be so high up or over a really cold place. Just these trails they're leaving, those aren't condensation trails. That's not how it goes. And especially the engines they have now do not leave condensation trails. And also, condensation trails don't linger like this. And after they're flying all day, it doesn't result in unnatural chemclouds, right? Because they're synthetic clouds. Well, I mean, there's real materials, but it's with the artifact. Artificial just means art by man's hand. So the stuff that was sprayed. So when I say synthetic, it's in part you're using some of the natural moisture and things to seed these clouds. So it's not like a 100% synthetically made thing, but it's synthetic in the sense of how it's artificial, I guess is a better term, because it's really made by man's hand. But it's either one actually fits for me, artificial or synthetic, using those terms. And you can see how the blue, like the sky is like it's white. Like even where it's blue is nowhere near as blue as it has been in many years gone by. Like look at that. You get that stuff. There's that one, what do you call it? One Spider-Man web shooter. Yeah, so I think the official story is that, chemtrails aren't a real thing, but all those other projects are. But then those other projects that aren't happening, even though you can film it. Oh, what I was saying with the plane, like it only takes one to notice flying by, and then what I have seen is I have seen planes flying by, and I actually have them. Other people have filmed this. I have filmed this. I have seen this, where they turn their sprays on and off. If it was indeed a contrail, then it should just stay, because that's what the conditions of the sky and the plane are. But you can distinctively see them turning it on and off. I have also seen two guys coming from opposite directions. And as they go by, one guy turns his off, the other guy's going through, it's still spraying, and then the other guy turns it back on. So you could say, oh, well, what if it hit a funny patch of air and it wasn't condensation in that spot and another? Well, no, because you had two guys spraying as they passed very closely, and a lot of times they pass closely and just each leave it. But I have actually seen one where they passed each other, and I might have this on film. I might have happened to capture this one day. But I have so many of these videos. Like I have over 200 Pixin videos now, maybe over 300 now. But when they crossed each other, the one guy turned his off. The other guys go through still spraying, and the other guy, once they pass each other a little bit, the other guy turns his thing back on, goes on spray. So it's like, how are they doing this turning on and off? And then the other thing is like I said, it only takes one guy to see you know, if you have eyes to see and go, hey, that's not right. What is this? And then that's how I did it. I started researching things. But how is it I've seen many days double digits, in the 20s, in the 30s, and my record I've seen 41, and that's not watching the whole day. That might be over a number of hours. I think the day when I saw 41, that might have been over a 4-hour period, 3 hours when I was working outside, and then maybe another hour in the evening, something like that. But how is it I see that much traffic and they're just going over the same lines? Sometimes there's two or three guys at once, just all flying close to each other, spraying. Then one's coming from the other direction on more or less the same flight path. All these guys, like that's more traffic. Like, you know, what's a busy airport get? And just over where I am in Burlington and many other areas, like where is all this traffic coming from? And if anything, traffic should be less than it used to be, not more. But there's never been, and I live, you know, there's the Hamilton Airport one way, there's the Toronto Pearson Airport the other way. And I've always noticed planes, and I still see the commercial planes. These aren't commercial planes. These are just, they look different. There's no sound to them. You can't hear them. Like when the commercial planes fly by on the ground, you can you hear their little jet for a few seconds. You know, Cessnas, you can hear all these things, but these spray planes, they're silent. And all of a sudden, they just come up now? No, I don't think so. These aren't just regular, oh yeah, they're just private jets that can do private business and make deliveries or transporting people. Yeah, I don't think so. Where there's just multiple ones flying in the same path, more or less the same pathways, back and forth, all day, every day, for years now? Come on. Seeing 40 in a short period of time like that? I'm sure actual airports get a ton of traffic, but you can't account for that traffic in my area. And like I said, and I still see, but the regular planes I see, I would still see those. I know those aren't chemtrails. And actually, the work of Jim Lee, so the Climate Viewer guy, I think he's got a YouTube channel. I don't know if it's Climate Viewer or if it's under Jim Lee, Climate Watch, something like that. And not Jim Lee, the comic book artist. But this is a Jim Lee who covers geoengineering stuff. But he's even found in the 90s that there's documents, they openly state that they have changed the formulas of planes. So even just regular commercial planes that don't leave the distinctive chemtrails, as I'm going to call them, because that's what they are. I don't care if people don't like that term and they go, oh, and they turn out, it's too bad. That's what they are. But he has shown that even these regular ones that aren't chemtrails, just the plain spraying, they have changed the jet fuel byproduct such that it's more toxic. And it leaves more of this carbon black and other things, which contribute to and are a part of weather modification and geoengineering. So there's just more bad stuff, even in those ones where there aren't trails. But in addition to that, there are, look, these explicit chemtrails. Here you go. Oh, there's a guy spraying right now. And again, he's leaving one of the Spider-Man web shooters, or cobweb as I'm calling it. So we'll get his trail on center. So there it is there. You can see because the sky it's so white. That's why it's hard for my camera to pick up. And going along, and where's the front of him? He's there right now. It's actually here on the ground, because his fresh trail is even more of a bright white, like it stands out even more. But just my camera can only pick up so much. See, zooming in, there's a bit of a differential there. I can see the front of him, but Just looking through my screen here, that's not sure the camera's picking that up. Yeah, there's the fresh trail. You can see the change. See the front of him. He's just now gone behind the tree from where my view is. But anyway, see, so I just came out, made this video. It's at 15 minutes now, so it didn't take me standing outside for long before I could actually see one flying by. Right? So explain that. And I just came up with my new slogan today. Deniers gonna deny. That's what they're gonna do. The deniers are gonna deny. For people who are honest, we can see things. But anyways, yep. There you go. Denier's gonna deny. Thanks, everybody. I'll just do a quick follow-up to that last video I did, because after the 15-minute mark, I think it was a 17-minute video, and at the 15-minute mark, it was like, oh, there's a guy spraying. It's like, you don't have to wait long on a day like today to see them spraying. But I stopped, so through there, the lighting is picking it up. So see, there's the Spider-Man webshooter trail. See that? And I'll just come around. Because it shows it way more clearly. Oh, look how many there are. Yeah, so there's the right, I was seeing that new Spider-Man webshooter trail, and boom, there you go. So see how it's more tight, so it's brighter and whiter, and it's more tight when it's a freshly laid trail. And then going all the way down, and you can see, look at all of those other multiple streaks. They're starting to look like clouds now, but you can see there, it's the trails. So let me go to this one here. That's what I used to mean by the cobweb trails, but people confuse that with cobweb clouds, because it's like, look at all this stuff, right? It's like the skies look like a cobweb that's all just stretched and filled out. So now I'm saying Spider-Man webshooter trails. See how it starts unraveling? It's easier for me to see here on the ground without me getting a super high definition camera. This is just the camera on my mobile device. It comes into focus. But anyways, that starts unraveling. Right, eventually it's going to look like those guys. Oh, there's another guy. See? You know, 15 minutes into the other video, then I took a 5-minute break, and then I was like, let me film again. See him just standing here. Now that guy, so he's not really leaving a Spider-Man webshooter trail. He's leaving what I call a trailer. Right? It's only behind him. So you see the little plane at the front. Oh yeah, I guess the trail is probably, in the other video I said maybe 2 to 3 times the length of the plane. Oh no, it's much longer. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so it's at least 10 times the length of the plane. So if it's a 10-foot plane, there you go, it's a 100-foot trail. It's high up there, right? That's why I was saying on the ground, you know, it looks like a centimeter. But I call them trailers because they dissipate after that, you know, 100-meter, 100-yard little spray distance. Some of them can be a mix, so you can get the Spider-Man webshooter trails, or you can get these trailers. Some guys can do a mix of them, where it's mostly a trailer, but here and there it leaves the Spider-Man webshooter style. But that guy there, he's a trailer. That's what I call them. It's like the fading trailers. They have to be more descriptive, so everyone understands what I'm meaning. There he goes. Right, but then you have ones like this, where it's the Spider-Man web shooter trail. And there's remnants of, multiple other, see? 1, 2, 3, 4 of the web shooter trails. And then there's been more, but of course they're faded and they're turning into these guys, right? Like, see this old one here? It's starting to unravel. See right there, it's really unraveling and spreading out. So it either dissipates, but it's seeded. So eventually they pick up and they form this stuff. But it could completely fade away. And then over time, because they're put so much this stuff that they're spraying up there, then it comes back. Or it could dissipate and just go into smudges like that. And smudges like that. Right? And effects like that. It just depends. Right? So not every single trail always goes to the exact same, but they end up in the same place, being these butchered and congested and chemically doused, right? It's chemical congestion skies. But every single literal trail, I mean, there's a couple of ways it can go. Not many. And there's a couple of styles. You know, and this is also where I am in Burlington. There's other places you can go online. You can see where people are filming, but a lot of people, whatever region they're in, it tends to be the same mix in those regions. So like someone who's in Birmingham, UK, or whatever, it's like they always seem to get the same kind of patterns. Some guy from this place gets the same patterns. This guy from this place gets the same patterns. This guy in this country or this city. But here in Burlington, Ontario, there's like a there's a more finite number of patterns, but there's commonalities in all these places, and then every now and then you can get a little bit of different patterns and things. Like, my friend saw this in London, and now here it is in Burlington. Or they were getting this in San Diego, and now it's here, or whatever, however it is. But every single trail doesn't always have to be the same, although most of them, you'll see in your area if you're watching for them, most of them turn out in one way. Many of the patterns, you can quickly come out with what patterns it is you're seeing and stuff like that. Yeah, see, just look how congested this is. And again, my camera's having a difficult time because you can't really see the white. Oh, there's another guy spraying. He's leaving a very faint trail, but he's there. I've got to landmark him. He is easy for me to see here on the ground and that I'm looking. He's somewhat more difficult than the other ones to see, like just from standing with my eyes on the ground. But my camera, it doesn't look like it's picking him up. Sometimes when I go upload these videos, I can indeed see something. Sometimes not. Like this dude, like I'm looking right at him, so why is he not showing up? Come here. See? There he is. Yeah, this video is 7 minutes. The other one was 17. Plus a 5-minute break. So in 30 minutes, in 30 minutes, I've seen 3 guys now. And filmed all 3. So on a day like today where they're out fairly steady, there's a couple of ways. I've seen it ways where there's waves of them. Like you'll see like 3, 4, 5 guys in 5 minutes, then nothing for half an hour, and then they come back. I've seen waves where you'll see maybe a bunch in a half an hour span, and you get that every 2 hours. And then I've seen other days, like the days where I've had the really high numbers. It's just very steady with, you see like 1 every 5 minutes, just that's it. Or 2 every 10 or whatever it is. And then I've also seen some days where it's like, we can get waves of heavy spraying for a couple of days, and then there's a couple of days and nothing. But then there's also a couple of days where it's just the blanket of clouds, and then they can still be spraying, but you just can't see them anymore. And then of course you get more rain, you get more cloudy days. However sunny they say it's going to be, it always turns out more cloudy. I did this thing early in this year where I was noticing that, but I said, okay, let me make screenshots of what the Weather Network says. Here's their 7-day forecast, and it always turns out to be less sun and more cloudy than what they say. And I did that for like a couple of months, and I was like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore. So I have all that saved in a Word document, and like I say, I've got hundreds of pics and videos now. There goes that guy. So yeah, there you go. Stitched these 2 videos together. But it just gives you an idea of what to look for, what to see, what you're seeing. Denier's gonna deny. Thanks again. Bye.